But something we should say, like, I hate our audience, they're such jerks. Oh, you guys are supposed to hear that.
Alright, hey guys, we should be starting up in a couple minutes. Andy, why don't you take a look at the video and make sure it's going?
On Twitch?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm pulling it up.
It'll have a delay still, but...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Cam! In the chat room.
Oh, yeah, we're up.
Okay, cool.
Amulose. Camulose Rex. Like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Totally. Alright. It is 7:15, so we're going to start the show. You guys ready?
Ready?
Alright, let me just record this. Record. Alright. Let me get up the show notes. Hey, everyone in the chat room. You think you can see us this time and we're not too laggy. So, things should go better tonight. So, welcome. You're listening to Skooma Junkies, an Elder Scrolls podcast for the Elder Scrolls and the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm your host, Kitty, and I'm joined by Nick.
Hello.
And Anu, who has a cam this week.
Skooma.
All right, we've got a ton of information this week to go over, and I'm super excited about it. We haven't really had this much in a long time. So, the first thing, we're just going to skip gameplay this week because there's so much to talk about. I did have some gameplay, though, but Nick didn't, so there's nothing really to hear. And I don't know if Anu did or not.
No, I didn't get a chance this week either.
All right.
Still no blasted beta invite.
I think they're going to send some out soon, though.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into the news, there's just a quick thing to mention. They did release 3 new wallpapers for the game, and they're really cool. They're for the dungeons, 3 of the dungeons that are going to be released. I believe there's 12 or 16 dungeons in total, but Toothmaw Gully, the Vaults of Madness, and a mysterious Dwemer Ruin. They're really cool wallpapers, so you can take a look at them. I actually should be having one on my background pretty soon here. All right, and then
I love the art stuff. I love all
I
that
do
stuff
too. The
that's coming
concept
out.
art's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, and then real quick, what we're going to do before we get into the big news that everyone really wants to talk about, which is the Imperial Edition, we're going to go over the developer question of the week. The developer question of the week this week is really kind of short and lackluster, kind of like maybe they thought of it at the last minute and they didn't know what they wanted to do for it. But it's a question anyways. So, because actually from a customer support agent, which I was surprised. All right, so this question of the week is from Mark Denby, customer support agent. And he says, in our game, you can have all sorts of fun with friends. Who are you looking to party up with? And what adventures are you looking to have? He said, real short. So, Andy, why don't you take that one first?
Okay. Obviously, the friends that I'm going to be with are you guys, obviously. And anyone else who wants to join the Skooma Junkies Guild, no big deal. The kind of fun that I want to have, like, solo, is definitely, I'm huge on completion, stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to go do the 50 plus and the 50 plus, like, make sure I get all the quests done. I'm a lore master in WoW, like, that kind of stuff. I just like that stuff.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, same thing. Friends that I'm going to be playing with are the people that I'm doing this podcast with, and the people in the chat room, and all those good people.
Yeah!
And as far as what kind of fun I'm looking to have, game fun, like, you know, that kind of fun that you do in games. Pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, you know, I'm going to party up with my guild, everyone from the WoW Guild, and, you know, hopefully lots of new people we have in our guild that we meet through this and that we meet in-game. And adventures, you know, like Nick said, leveling, raiding, PvP, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's the question of the week this week. It's nothing super interesting like being a Daedric Prince, but hopefully next week we get something fun like that.
Yeah. About the PvP, like, and with you specifically, Kitty, is it'll be interesting to see you get into that kind of aspect of an MMO. since you never did really in WoW, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'm really looking forward to it this time around though. So I might get pawned though. I keep feeling like
Yeah.
I keep feeling like I'm not gonna be very good just because I haven't PvP'd like at all.
You might.
Might.
Absolutely will.
Definitely gonna get pawned.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right. So the next part of our show, this is the big one. Oh, because there's kind of two big ones, and they're kind of connected. So for those who don't know, yesterday afternoon or morning, I'm not sure exactly what time it was, Amazon leaked a photo of the Elder Scrolls Online Imperial Edition, which is the collector's edition we've all been waiting for. And up until this morning, we didn't know for a fact if it was real or not. But being on Amazon, it was a pretty safe bet. Nick, why don't you pull that up on the stream?
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Which I'm not looking at, so you gotta tell me when it's up.
Okay, I believe it is up now.
All right. That's the photo that was put up. And as you can see in the photo, you've got the statue, you've got the maps, the box. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet looking set, and there's a whole bunch of digital content that went with that as well. And I think the big one that jumped out at me immediately last night, which has been trumped by some of the stuff they actually talked about today that they announced, was the Imperial race. Because remember, they were going to leave out the Imperial race, and everyone was like, well, why are you going to do that? And they said for an even number of races between alliances.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. And then they pulled it down off the internet almost immediately. But it was already everywhere by the time they were able to do that. So this morning...
You can't stop a leak like that.
No.
You can't stop that.
Well, where it actually showed up was on the Dishonored Game of the Year edition listing under the images on Amazon. And someone just happened to look and they were like, this isn't Dishonored. And it was that. Yeah. So then this morning they released an announcement saying that you can buy this edition and it'll be available for all three. And the price is actually $100 for the physical. The digital, I believe, is $89 or $80.
That's not bad for a collector's edition.
No,
nowadays,
especially with all the stuff. I mean, it's got in total here, it says a 12-inch statue of Molag Bal, a 224-page illustrated guide annotated by the imperial scholar Flaccus Terentius, which 224 pages is a pretty big book.
Yeah, that's a huge book.
And if you look on the picture, you do see some text along with concept art and images. So I'm not sure if that's going to be lore or what the deal is going to be with that, but it is pretty big. And then a printed map of Tamriel detailing Alliance-controlled zones and Cyrodiil. Because it says detailing Alliance-controlled zones, I think this is a completely new map that we haven't seen, which is nice because I personally am in the process of framing all my Elder Scrolls maps. That's just another one to add to it.
Yeah, I'm. Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying I'm huge on the maps as well. I keep them all from every one of the Elder Scrolls games that I've played.
I'm wondering how they're going to designate, like, how are they going to detail what zones are controlled by who? Like, is it going to be like, because I mean, you can kind of see the map on this picture.
Just the corner.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like just a normal map with the name of each continent and then like in parentheses who it's controlled by? Is it color coded in some way? Like I'm wondering kind of how they're going to detail.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
They always do really good with their maps though. Every collector's edition that they put out, has a great map that comes with it.
You know, the only thing I want is the cloth ones though. They had them a long time ago.
That would be cool.
Morrowind or Oblivion, or maybe it was the older games. I can't remember which one now because I didn't actually have that edition, so I don't have the cloth maps. But it had cloth maps with it.
Really, I love this.
All right, so it comes with the map, and then the digital content is where it gets really interesting. Play as an Imperial in any alliance. Like that's a big deal. Like we have the race, and it can be in any alliance. They did say that. See exactly what it says here, actually. It says, become an Imperial and play in any alliance. Gain unique bonuses, crafting styles, gear, and more. So I'm wondering what the bonuses are. I mean, I was a bit worried that the idea that maybe it could be stronger and a pay-to-win kind of idea, but I doubt they'd do that.
Yeah, I don't think they would tarnish it like just straight out of the box like that. But it does raise the questions of how balanced are the Imperials going to be in these new abilities? What are they going to be? So...
And will we see them? I mean, Nick, I know we were talking about it earlier, and you said that you thought that eventually everyone would have the Imperial race.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like to me if they're going to, they're already kind of setting the precedent for the not pay to win necessarily, but paying for in-game content or in-game, abilities, whatever you want to classify that under. So I'm pretty sure that that's going to be one of those things that they're not going to be able to leave that forever. Because I mean, think about people that start playing this game a year from now. How upset are they going to be when they find out that this entire piece of the game they can't access just because they didn't start playing right when the game dropped? And I mean,
or paid $100.
Yeah, exactly, or paid $100 because think about we started playing World of Warcraft, a number of years after it launched, and how upset would I have been if they told me that I couldn't, play Death Knights, which is the class that I play now, because I wasn't there when it launched, and it's not like I could, there's no way to access it. So I think that they're going to have to unlock it either by an in-game achievement, possibly, or I think more than likely it's going to be an online store kind of thing, 3 months down the road maybe. They'll give the people that pre-ordered, that got this deluxe edition, the head up, I think, for a little while, but after a period of time, they're going to have to make it available in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like that's the case for because we haven't talked about the pre-order bonuses yet, have we? That are separate from the
No, we haven't talked about them yet.
Okay, well is that in a different part of the show, or go ahead?
Oh, it's kind of merged in with this. Okay, you can go ahead and talk about it right now if you want to.
What is it? I don't have the list in front of me. There's 3 things that you get for pre-ordering any version of the game. That is, I know that the main thing of that, though, the biggest thing that you get is that any race that you pick can now join any of the alliances. So this whole time we've actually even been having a little internal struggle, at least between me and Megan, about what alliance our guild was going to be because of the races. And that was seemed like kind of I wondered about that, how many, for instance, established guilds that are going to be coming over to this game, that has the capability to possibly rip a guild apart, just because half of the guild wants to play races that can only be this alliance, half of the guild wants to play races that can only be another alliance. And they went ahead, though, and announced that now if you pre-order, any race can just join any alliance, that those lines are no longer there. And I think that that's another thing that they're going to have to offer to people a certain amount of time down the road that didn't pre-order, because it's just going to be too big of a thing to keep from people like that. Really big bonuses they're giving for pre-ordering and for getting the deluxe edition respectively. I don't know. I just don't feel like they're going to be able to stick with it being a bonus exclusively for people that pre-ordered and got the deluxe edition.
Yeah, I don't even see how that bonus would even work. That would be something like some kind of WoW promotion. Buy this expansion and your alliance, and now you can play a Tauren. That kind of dilutes the purpose of the factions. So I'm not really a big fan of that, and I don't know if that'll really stand.
Well, I really like it, actually. I feel like Elder Scrolls is all about freedom, and that being able to play in any faction gives the player that freedom, because although it stands to reason that the majority of the faction is going to be the races that are going to war, there are going to be people, it would be unrealistic for there to never be any other races part of those faction. So. Yeah,
I guess if you take a more realistic view, that's probably true.
I'm all about realism and immersion.
Yeah.
That's me.
Just for clarification, I said there was 3. There's actually 4 things that you get for pre-purchasing, and those things are, like I said, the one is play any race in the alliance. The other 3 are you get called a scuttler. It's a vanity pet, and a little reptile-looking guy.
Little dinosaur guy.
Raptor with a giant head or a raptor with no neck or something. And then you also get a treasure maps that apparently they're for in-game. They lead you to little hidden treasure chests full of loot in the game. And then the last and final thing is you get 5 days of early game access. That now says that it's only for PC and Mac, so just a disclaimer for anyone. That's not for the consoles. This just particularly this 5 days of early game access, but those are the 4 things you get for pre-purchasing.
The 5 days, like, I totally get. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Though I was a little sad. I mean, I kind of wanted to go stand out in line at GameStop. Nick will be happy about not having to do that now, though.
Yeah.
Well,
so we actually
that sucks.
When we went on GameStop earlier to kind of look and see what the deal is with pre-ordering these editions, and we went through the Elder Scrolls Online site. When we got to the GameStop site, it said that you get an early access code. I don't think they're going to give us our boxes 5 days early, and I don't think we're going to get these big collection editions 5 days early. I think
you're probably right.
A digital download.
Oh, yeah.
You have to enter in a code on your account in order to get this early access. So I think we're still going to have to go wait in line at midnight, to get the boxes.
Yeah.
I just don't see them giving people that pre-ordered their boxes 5 days early. Like, I just don't see it.
I didn't even think about that, and you're right. I mean, we'd probably go pick it up, or maybe they'd email it to us. I'm not sure how that would work, but you're probably right. And I still kind of like that because I'd like to go line up outside with a whole bunch of other Elder Scrolls fans. So,
yeah. An interesting thing about that point is, unless you're just a huge avid fan of having the physical game CDs, what's the purpose of buying the non-digital, pre-ordering something that's non-digital? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you don't have... from what I understand, some of these aren't available on... Matter of fact, I'll go here right now. Some of them are not available in the digital edition. It's cheaper. So if I click pre-purchase now, I'm on the shop.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
Basically, if you pre-order any digital editions, you don't get any of the physical deluxe edition items. So you don't get the Molag Bal statue, you don't get the map, you don't get the book.
Okay. Yeah, see, that makes sense then. Yeah.
And it's $80.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Instead of the $100.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so there were a couple other things actually that were in the edition we didn't get to quite yet that are digital as well. Besides playing the Imperial, was a white Imperial horse mount. It doesn't look much different than any other horses that we've seen, but it's white and that's pretty cool. And everyone will know where it came from. A mud crab vanity pet. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then we have Rings of Mara. Now, when this was on the picture last night, I was debating, like, what do they do? Like, is this providing in-game marriage? A lot of role players want that. I think you just put them on, but it does say, here's what it says it does. Complete the Ritual of Mara with a friend and receive an experience bonus when you play together. Now, I'm wondering if that means, I'm assuming it means that your friend gets the ring. I don't think you can trade that between players. I think that once you choose somebody to complete the Ritual of Mara with and get those bonuses, it's always going to be that person if you want to have them on together and get bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It's possible that... Now, have they clarified whether is this account bound then, or is it character bound? Like, can
they
you
haven't.
This ritual with it's only 2 specific characters get this, and you can maybe only do it the one time, and so it's only your 2 characters that you pick that get to do this, or is it an account bound thing to where, for instance, any character that we create, if me and Anu do this ritual together now, or any time,
why would we do it?
Are they gonna be able to do that?
God, are you gonna steal him from me, Anu?
Yeah.
Nick,
we're gonna run away together.
You should turn your volume up. Someone said you're a little quiet. Go into your Skype settings and just raise it a little bit. I had it pretty low because you were so loud last week.
I also kind of wonder if the Rings of Mara are going to be some sort of in-game discoverable loot, like some kind of rare drop or something that you find while treasure hunting. And they're not necessarily just limited to the pre-order bonuses, but could be interesting.
Race is listening right now.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Race.
Hi, Race.
And thank you, Race girlfriend. All right. So I don't know. I'm really not sure, but as far as this is going, I want to know what the bonuses are, and I think it's leveling. Would you guys say that's probably a safe bet?
I think it probably is. It one makes it a little bit better for the people who spend all the money and know that they're going to play it. Like, you don't buy a collector's edition if you don't know that you're not going to, if you're not pretty serious about playing it. So it gives them a little bit of a chance to level up a little bit faster, and it encourages a group environment play, so you're at least playing with someone else.
Yeah, it would be, again, on what we hinted at with the Imperial, like, if it was some kind of combat bonus, if it was anything substantial, it would be a pay-to-win kind of thing.
Mm-hmm, right.
So they can't, that's just something they can't go into.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, $100 is not bad. The Star Wars Collector's Edition was $150, and there's been some more expensive ones out there. I mean, considering that the digital is only $20 less, I'm actually surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was the Skyrim Collector's Edition? I don't remember. I thought it was like $120 at least.
I think it was
right?
$120 or $130.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain.
$100 for a Collector's Edition nowadays is a pretty compelling price, I think.
Especially a Collector's Edition that has so many physical things with it. Like, that's a shocker, man. That statue, that's a big deal to come in with a Collector's Edition on its own, but now you've got that book. World of Warcraft just released a couple of art books like that, and the little one's $35, the big one's almost $100 just for the books. Like, just having that book in there, and each, and the map too, each individually, these physical things they're giving us are enough to charge $100 for it, and they're giving us all of that. I was expecting it to be a minimum of $150, but probably somewhere $200 is what I was actually expecting.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking about the Rings of Mara right now. I keep getting stuck on that one item for some reason. I think it would be, I mean, I'm not really a role player per se, but I think it'd be really cool if the Perform the Ritual of Mara could be some cool thing that you could do and role play with. I think people would like that a lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure some people would.
Not everyone, but some. All right. Now with this, so this is the really fun part. All right. With this, they released a video. A really awesome 8-minute video. We're going to play that now on the stream. It's epic, guys. Like, it's seriously really cool. And it's kind of the release video, the release trailer that they announced. This is kind of an expanded version of that. It continues off of where it left off before. So, Nick, why don't you pull that up and then...
Okay. Going to the thing, and now I'm going to play. Is that correct how I've got that now? Let me go full screen on it. Okay.
And let us know when it's done.
It should be up and playing.
If you can see it playing on your screen, it's playing for them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm watching it, but I'm full screen, so I can't see if I can't look at the Twitch stream or anything to make sure.
No, that's fine.
Do you guys want to kind of chat about it as it's going, or what?
Yeah. It's fine. Okay. I'm watching it live right now. Hopefully it doesn't cause it to lag, but it seems to be okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. The work they did on this is amazing. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like the Forsaken armor. The guy with the helmet right there.
Yeah, the CGI is like really, really nice. Anyone who's just listening is like, oh, I want to see.
Because we're ahead of it. Actually, I'm watching it on the stream right now, so I'm watching it as it's playing, but we're still ahead of it for them.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see what all is about with these dark anchors and everything.
Me too.
Like even just even just lore-wise, see what's really going on here.
This guy, this Nord here, he's cool. I've liked him since the first video.
I don't think I could play a Nord in ESO just because Skyrim came out so recently.
Yeah.
Nord in Skyrim, so I have to try to change it up.
Well, now you can play anything you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice cup, dude.
Thanks. It's like the girliest cup ever.
Oh god, so are these Dremora? They really look like Dremora to me, but except I remember Dremora being red. But maybe it's been too long.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure that out when I was watching it earlier.
They do look like I do recall the red. I don't remember like the lights or something like that, but
Yeah, me neither. That's the one thing, but
I mean it looks like Drake armor and stuff like that, but the red and the black is definitely standard Drake gear.
yeah, it is.
What race are you guys really thinking about playing as?
See, now I don't know. I mean,
If you had no worries, you know, no factions, worries, if you just wanted to pick one race for aesthetics or whatever, which ones are you guys thinking?
yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. I mean, I'm personally thinking like,
Yeah.
I mean, when I play, I tend to play like either Dark Elf, Jeet, or Bosmer. I also like Bretons a lot, so I mean, I like a lot of the races. So now I'm really conflicted. Like before, it depended on what alliance we were going to make the guild on. Now that's not a concern anymore. I really have no idea.
Yeah. I definitely lean towards, like in Elder Scrolls, I definitely lean towards more of the darker, kind of grittier races, and less to the prettier, like more noble races.
Yeah.
So,
Well, noble. I'm not really
I'm
sure
kind of
we could
leaning
call
towards-
anyone noble in Elder Scrolls.
yeah.
Maybe the Imperials, kind of. Oh, this is so
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
We're
maybe
gonna-
the better would be like tensions. Oh yes. So I'm kind of leaning towards, I think, my number one choice right now is
Orc. Yeah. Well, now I mean, what faction are we going to build on now? I mean,
yeah.
I was
We should
really.
when it gets a lot closer, we should do some kind of live stream vote or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know. Before I was leaning, like I'm personally leaning toward Ebonheart, and Nancy, you were leaning towards Mary because you like high up, you know, faster. And then you were leaning toward that.
Yeah.
You told me.
Right. Yeah. I was leaning mostly towards Daggerfall because they have the most your races, in my opinion. More barbaric races.
Yeah.
There's just something fun to me about playing like a kind of character that you normally would assume as non-magical, really brutish, really unintellectual, or whatever, and then being like a badass with spells with that dude or something, you know?
I really lean towards Dark Elves. I mean, even when I started to get into their history, especially at this point in history, before their homeland's been just really destroyed, how it has, they're pretty, they're jerks, Dark Elves. They're pretty racist and whatnot,
Yeah,
but they're still one of my favorite races, and I really always have liked playing necromancers as Dark Elves, even though in Morrowind, necromancy is like sacrilege.
Yeah.
I always like playing a character that ignores
in
that.
Morrowind.
Because they respect
Morrowind,
their dead.
That's what I played as. Yeah.
In Morrowind, I played as a dark elf, and I always do, or another kind of elf, because I feel like, if you're going to be, you're the reincarnation, right, of the Neverine, or however you say it. Wouldn't you be a dark elf? Like, why would he come back? Being a dark elf.
Yeah.
Why would he come back as like a Khajiit or
Yeah.
Argonian or Nord? But then I really hate being a dark elf and being called a Outlander, because it just makes no sense to me.
Oh, Outlander. Yeah.
How would you know I'm an Outlander?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I played as my first playthrough in Morrowind. I played as a dark elf, and my second time through I played as a wood elf, and I don't know why I did that. Because it caused a lot of problems for me, like min-maxing and stuff. It was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
This video is intense.
It really is, and it's so long.
Yeah, it is freakishly long.
So that's cool. I mean, I just kept thinking like it was going to end when I watched it earlier, and then just kept going, and I was so happy. This is my favorite part right here, where with her fingers. I'm not really sure, like, is he going to kill her, or is she going to kill him, or is that not even what's on the table right now for either of them?
Mm-hmm, yeah. There it is, Cyrodiil.
There's
The Imperial City. The fool looks serious.
Yeah, he does. You know, he was my favorite one out of the three of them when they first launched the trailer, so why did it have to be him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a Daedric Blades. Yeah.
Alright, that's the video.
Yeah, that's a great video.
I'm wondering, you go ahead and take it back, Nick, to us.
I did. We're good.
Okay. I'm kind of curious about the videos now. It paused it a lot, like in between you have the long spaces, and I kind of feel like maybe it was intended to be released separately. And one thing, Nick here disagreed with me earlier, but I do feel like it's something that I wanted to mention. Like, when you go to the very end of the video and you're looking at the horse's hooves, it just seems less complete. The cinematic, the animations, everything seems like maybe it wasn't completely finished. Mm-hmm. The graphic quality of the video just seems a little bit lower, and it's probably just my imagination, you know, trick of the light. But if it is, I'm wondering if because they were kind of maybe forced into releasing this, announcing it today, when before they might not have planning to announce it for a couple more weeks and have time to finish that video up, and maybe have released this video in segments up to that point, and maybe when they released the last part told us about that.
What do you think would have pushed them to do that? Do you think the leak, the Amazon leak?
Because everyone knew about it then.
Yeah.
Address those issues.
Yeah. I do. That's one thing I do think is, like, this morning I was actually awake right as they were officially announcing this. Elder Scrolls Online was, Bethesda was officially announcing it, and, Megan comes in last night and tells me when she's coming to bed, oh my god, I saw this picture of the supposed pre-order stuff, and it's totally awesome, and she was like, I don't know if it's real or not, though. So then I wake up this morning, and it was like, slowly they're putting all this up, and it was like, what's about a little before 8 o'clock this morning, they're like slowly putting it all up, and it was like, man, it seems like they did have to put that up because Amazon mistakenly leaks that photo when they were not supposed to have it up yet, because it's pretty obvious that I would think that Bethesda, they're giving this stuff to Amazon ahead of time for when they are supposed to put it up for sale. And it's it's like, normally I would say that I didn't think a leak of that magnitude would have happened, but it seems pretty obvious that it's like, it was not on the website last night. There was nothing on their Facebook, nothing on their Twitter about this, and Amazon puts this photo up, and then the buzz starts about it, and then early the next morning, like as soon as their office opens, bam, they slam that thing out. Like, it seems like it's definitely Amazon did mistakenly post that photo up and get this leaked out there, and they had to like rush today to get it up so it to officially announce it.
Skeeter in the chat did say that you can't mass open for orders in less than 12 hours due to a leak, and that could definitely be true. I still, though, feel like I really feel like that was truly an accident. Someone lost their job, because there's been a lot of leaks, but I'm just wondering if I don't think this was an intentional leak. I just not the way it came out, not being on Dishonored like that. I don't feel like this was planned whatsoever.
Well, even if it wasn't, just kudos to ZeniMax and Bethesda for just coming out straight away, just going with it, and not playing any stupid games or something. Just going with it, saying, "Yep, this is it," and here's all this stuff. Here's this badass video that we've been working on for you. Boom. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the video, it's so awesome. They did their cinematic team did an amazing job, and you wonder how many years they've actually been working on the videos. The game's been in development for 7 years. It takes some time to put that kind of stuff together.
Oh, definitely.
An 8-minute cinematic video, especially one of that magnitude, that quality, like their cinematic team was probably working on that for at least many, many, many months.
Yeah. And it's I'm wondering if maybe those characters that you're seeing, the 3 that we've seen in all their videos so far, are actually characters in game in the storyline, or if they're just meant to depict classes and races and factions.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
Because it's not the leaders of the factions, so it'd have to be other characters if it is.
Yeah. I'm just looking ahead in the notes, and I know I'm definitely going to be playing on the PC, but we got a lot of info about the PS4 stuff.
Yeah, we do. Okay,
which is interesting.
Let's move on into the PS4 stuff, because we keep losing track of the time, and the video is so awesome and stuff like that. And this might be a long episode, though. Anyway, just because there's so much news, and we'll get to as much as we hopefully can. So, a few days ago here, they released, maybe only 2 days ago, I'm losing track of time with all the crazy news that's coming out now, but they said, we've answered some PS4 questions. They didn't really answer a ton of questions, I don't feel like. There is information there to be had, so I'm going to read the question, and I'll have one of you two in turn read the answer, and then we'll talk about it. So this is the big one, and I do have some questions about this one myself. But it's, will playing online with the Elder Scrolls Online have a separate subscription compared to PlayStation Plus? And Nick, why don't you read that?
Okay, the answer says that it is a PlayStation Plus membership is not required to play the Elder Scrolls Online. PS4 players will only be required to pay the same monthly subscription associated with the Elder Scrolls Online that PC and Mac users will pay, nothing more. So basically they're saying no PlayStation Plus membership. If you don't have one, you can still play this game, and you just pay them their $15 a month subscription fee, and you can play whether you're a PlayStation Plus member or not.
Yeah. Well, that really didn't answer one of our big ones. I've been personally wondering, I would play it on PlayStation as well as PC. I won't pay 2 fees, though, to play it separately, because the characters aren't across platforms. So, what about you, Anu?
I wouldn't play it on both platforms. One, I like MMOs with a mouse and keyboard. Honestly, sure, you can do that on a PlayStation 4, but why when I have a monster PC? You know what I mean? Why would I do that? Just for me. If I didn't have a monster PC, the PS4 would definitely look like an attractive option. I kind of wonder if the no PlayStation Plus thing is some kind of deal that ZeniMax has worked out with PlayStation. Because that doesn't seem like the norm, So maybe PlayStation agrees that The Elder Scrolls Online is going to be a big enough game to sell systems for, you know what I mean? Like a big enough reason for people to buy the PS4 that they figured out in some kind of like bizarre actuarial tables that it would make more sense if they didn't have to pay the subscription. It'd be so I wonder if it's some kind of deal. And if that's the case, then ZeniMax is looking out for the players. They're willing to go to bet and get as many people playing as possible, which is cool.
Personally,
go ahead, Nick.
Okay. Personally, I think that the fact that you're not having to pay a PlayStation Plus membership, I mean, I could be reading this completely wrong, and it may have no correlation at all, but it seems to me that might speak a little bit to what you just said, the question that we have. Are we going to have to pay 2 subscriptions or 1 subscription? I think that might speak to the fact that we're only going to have to pay 1 subscription, and this is why. I think that it's going to be an account bound subscription. You pay your account, and whatever, if you sign in with that account on PlayStation or PC, if it's paid up, $15 a month, one subscription, it'll allow you in. And I think that the reason that that the fact you won't have to have PlayStation Plus membership says that it's going to be like that is because think about people that have both. For instance, like me and Megan, we have a PlayStation 4, and we also have gaming computers. We're going to be buying this game on PlayStation 4 and on the computers, especially if it's one single subscription for the two. And say we purchased the game for PlayStation 4, and we go on there to play, and it says, oh, you need a PlayStation Plus membership. If we didn't happen to already have one, now in order to play Elder Scrolls Online, we would be paying $15 a month subscription plus the PlayStation Plus membership. And I think that that's kind of them, again, looking out for the players, that if they're willing to do it with, with the PlayStation Plus, I think they're going to be willing to do it with the account, with account-bound subscriptions, because it's like now, if they're going to, it's already like people might be willing to pay $15 for the thing, but I'm not willing to pay $15 plus a PlayStation Plus membership.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think that just kind of, again, speaks to them trying to, they want to sell copies of the game. And I think that they, again, they realize that people like myself, I will have a copy of this game for both platforms if my subscription is account bound. And you know what I mean? That's that's more money for them. If it's not account bound, I'm not going to buy a copy, nor are they going to get my subscription fee.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that leads to question, though, is I did read that Xbox is still going to, you still have to have Xbox Gold to play. So they are still going to be paying double. I mean, as far as I see it, nobody is going to have Xbox Gold, or, they wouldn't have PlayStation Plus either just for one game. So they're going to be playing for it anyways. Right. So if they're adverse to the subscription, they're going to complain about it. But if they weren't adverse to the subscription in the first place, it's not like they're going to be paying any more money than they were originally planning on. So, I do want to play on both. I mean, the appeal of me to play on the PlayStation is honestly to play from my bed. Like, sick days, lazy days, it's a whole different character. I might not even know anybody in game, but if I want to just mess around and play and have a good time, well, I'm, like, say, laying in bed on a weekend or sick days, whatever, I'd like that. Or traveling, because it's a lot easier to take a console with you when you're on the road.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's why I'd like that. All right, so the next question they asked, I'm going to read that for you guys here, is how are you guys going to incorporate an action bar on console, or what will the substitution be? And Andy, why don't you read that?
All right, they're saying we're still testing and tweaking different DualShock 4 button mapping configurations, but we're very happy with the gameplay experience on PS4. Abilities are conveniently accessible for fun, on-the-couch gameplay, like you were talking about, and the team is really happy with how it's coming along. We'll have more specifics to share about this topic later this year. I don't think they're going to have any problem hot bar-wise, action bar-wise, with the controller. I think what could be an issue is communication. You either have to have a headset or you have to type out like a boss strategy, you know what I mean? You're going to type it out with like a T9 like Nokia brick phone is what it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do. So that's going to be the challenge, I think, for the consoles.
That's like that, I actually was just thinking about that a couple of days ago, like for a chat function on PlayStation and Xbox, like, oh my god, how annoying is it on any console, like when you have to just to sign in to something, like when you sign into just like your PlayStation Plus account, it's like, God, it takes me like 10 minutes to do this because you're like having to, you know, click, 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 click with the stupid thing. Like, you know, I actually just happened to figure out, you know, and it's made my life a lot easier on PlayStation, that my Bluetooth keyboard from my iPad will connect to my PlayStation. So now I'm able to use a keyboard on the PlayStation for typing, and that's made my life a lot easier. But that's not, you know, they don't make keyboards for PlayStation 4s yet anyway. And, you know, not a lot of people probably, you know, it would have figured out how I did. It was just kind of by accident that I figured that out. And, like, if, you know, if you're just having a conversation with someone, like, each time, you know, you're typing out one sentence and it takes each person 5 minutes, like, a conversation that would take, 15 seconds in you know, real speaking time is going to take you 15 minutes to type out on a console.
Yeah, and you know what? The keyboards have been compatible for a long time. It's nice with the Bluetooth that you don't have the wire running across. And now I was reading some comments about people's reactions as far as this particular question went. And one thing people were asking, and I don't think it's something that we'll ever see, and I'll tell you why, is they wanted to know if you're going to have compatibility for keyboards and mice, or at least keyboards, for use of playing in the game for actual controls. And the reason I don't think we're going to see that is that's going to put those players, and not just a little bit, but a massive advantage over players using a gamepad. A huge advantage in PvP.
Do you think they can... because you can already use keyboards and mice with the right adapters on the PlayStation, or at least on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. You can do that already. So is there any way to hard code that into a game that it won't accept input from a keyboard or mouse? Are we going to end up with hacks and mods? Like, what are we going to end up with? I think a good strategy would be, you know, a headset you can get a headset from Walmart that's $20-$30. This could be a good strategy for ZeniMax to maybe get some kind of licensing with maybe Logitech or something, and create an Elder Scrolls bundle headset that's maybe like a cheap $20-$30 headset with Elder Scrolls, like dragons or whatever, you know, however they want to make it look, make a little bit extra money there, and ease that sort of chat problem at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, like someone said in the chat room as well, it's nice not to have quite so much of its own chat. And I know some games implement where you can just hear them with the headset, because what we've seen in videos is how you communicate with other players is because of the way the system works. Like Skyrim, you don't have a cursor on your screen on PC. And, you know, obviously for console, you're not going to have a cursor. You're not using a mouse. You hover over somebody and you select a key. You have a hotkey to press when you're looking at them, when they're in your crosshairs, and you press that hotkey. It opens up a menu for, like, whisper, you know, all these various different things, invite to group. And obviously we have a menu as well that allows us to do some of those things manually anyways, like without doing it over that. But
no, it's a cat.
So I kind of feel like voice chat communication is going to be really hard because of the typing, unless they allow you to use the keyboards. If they don't, like, voice chat, it's a horrible idea to have the voice chat where you can just hear everybody you're within range of. I can't even begin to imagine the people screaming and yelling, you know, and some games do have that.
It's like proximity chat in PlanetSide 2. I don't know if you guys have played that. That's like oh my god, I have to mute everyone right now or my ears are going to bleed, you know, and I don't want that experience while I'm trying to fight some kind of like Dremora or something, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely, they can't do that. So I want to see their solution for communication. I know that some games, some MMOs, there's not too many on the PlayStation, but I do know that a lot of games at this point, they just basically say deal with it. Yeah. And if they do, well, you know, that really sucks. That really sucks for them, but
in a sense, like if you're going to be serious about playing it as an MMO, you know, on the PS4, you're most likely going to get a headset anyways because you want to do boss strategies, you
Yeah.
want to do the adventure zones, so you're going to have a headset anyway. So maybe it doesn't cater as well to the casual players, or even at WoW, like you can't play WoW without a freaking keyboard.
Yeah.
How are you going to log in?
Yeah.
But I think it'll be fine overall. But that is a little bit of a challenge for sure, and people should be aware of that. Especially non-MMO experienced players who maybe don't understand how much talking does go on in an MMO. Something to think about.
And I think most people who are serious about playing the game will get a keyboard, at least if it has it lets you type. Because otherwise, here's what I picture happening: you're out leveling and you want to talk to this person in the world. They're not on your friends list, anything like that. So, you're not going to be in voice chat with them. You need to type to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you walk up to them while they're leveling and do like /say or /whisper. By the time, if you weren't using a keyboard, by the time you got the message typed out, they would be halfway across the continent.
Yeah.
By the time the message got to them, they'd be done with their quest.
You have to try to follow them around and type at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, buddy, come back.
Yeah. That's true. That kind of makes me wonder, like, are they going to have something built into the console version of this game that caters to that? Because I mean, even if you do have the headset, you do, you're in voice chat, like Megan just said. If you want to talk to someone that you're not in voice chat with, how are you going to do it? Even if you got to have a Bluetooth keyboard connected to your PlayStation if you want to do it, or Xbox if you want to do it at all. And even then, it's like, now you've got to, pause the game, put your controller down, pick your keyboard up, put it in your lap, then start typing.
And there's no pause in an MMO either.
Or even no pause, but, it's like, are they going to have some kind of system? I mean, whether that be a hotkey with pre-programmed responses, or saves.
Right. I was just thinking that, like, maybe macros.
Or maybe could they possibly just like in WoW, how they have the built-in voice chat in World of Warcraft. Anyone that's in the same area as you can hear you, and you can hear anyone that's in your area. Are they going to have a built-in voice chat in the game that it's like anybody that is playing PlayStation can hear you talk if you're in that area? That seems like they're going to have something. Like that.
Epic Grippily in chat has actually said something that I think's really got some weight to it. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with the keyboard, though. You'd have to choose to do it. But he says that SOE has smartphone streaming for all PS4 games coming. Now, I do remember, how the PS4's got that little plug where you can hook your phone into it. We have the controller in the other room. So it's, again, something they'd have to optionally do, but that could be another option for...
I'll bet you that's what it's going to be in the form of is, like, for instance, when we got the PlayStation 4, I was playing Need for Speed, and there's an app that's a companion app to PlayStation 4 Need for Speed. I have it open on my iPad, and if it's because it's an EA game, I have to be signed into my Origin account, and if I sign into that in this app on my iPad, at the same time I'm signed into that same Origin account in the PlayStation 4 version, I can have my car controls on my iPad. I can have, different, change the radio station that's playing in my car on the PlayStation with my iPad. Like, it seems like that would be, and that includes, I have it on the iPad, but you can get it on any iOS or Android device, that app. That's something that's probably what it's going to be. Is there's going to have to be some kind of a companion app for ESO that you can get on smartphones.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next thing in our notes here. The third question is the last question we're actually going to go into, and this kind of goes what we were just saying. How will you be utilizing and using the touchpad on the PS4 controller in game? And I'll read this one. They said, "We love the additional functionality of the DualShock 4 touchpad. We're playing with a couple of different button configurations to find the best and most intuitive use for the touchpad." So...
yeah, we still don't have any details on what they're even thinking about implementing for the touchpad,
I had a thought, actually. On my phone, I can, if I want to type, I can tap the buttons individually, or I can kind of
draw.
I can draw the words, and maybe
can,
they'll
like,
do
swipe?
something like
Yeah,
that for
you
it.
can
I guess
swipe around to the different letters, and it even has like an intelligent function where if you swipe to different areas of the keyboard, you don't even have to get all the way to the letter, or you can overshoot it. It will guess what word you're trying to spell, and it's pretty damn good at it, I have to say. It's like you can do it real quick and miss the letters, and it'll most of the time it knows what word you're gonna spell.
We
Yeah.
got Nanty in the chat. All right. So just a couple other things to mention there on the article. There was a few other questions, and some of the stuff we've already heard before. You know, they like to answer questions we already know the answers to sometimes.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just how it works. It's the way for all game designers. So you said one thing, there'll be separate North American and European servers on the PS4, just like on the PC. I'm not really surprised about that. No date or time frame for the beta yet, but what they said way back when about the exclusive beta, that still holds true. It's not me. Don't leave me in the dirt. All right.
I do like that PC and PS4 users won't be on the same servers. I like that.
They couldn't do it. I think the advantages would be too. There would be no way to PvP, I feel like, from the console, unless you were a seriously good player and real fast.
Yeah.
Especially depending on what we're able to do with the modding as far as the UI goes. I mean, if we can have damage meters and a whole bunch of just the information that we have available in games like WoW, there's no way you compete without them. And that's unfortunate, but it's true for a lot of games.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to put those kind of mods on the PS4 version for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then they just said also there's no official number given for game size in the PS4 HDD, but they say there's plenty of space for ESO and years of future content. So it's an MMO, but it's not going to fill up your PlayStation, which isn't very surprising. Okay.
I do wonder how big it's going to be, because when I look at the WoW directory, you know, that thing is somewhere in the 20 to 25 gigs, you know, and WoW doesn't have nearly as many complex like game assets, things like that, like texture files, stuff like that. So I wonder how big we really are looking, you know, file size wise.
I'll bet it's gonna be pretty damn big. I mean,
yeah.
Jeez, man, you just think about a normal game nowadays. It's like space requirement on a console is like 20 gigs, 25 gigs for having these games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 40, 50 gig file that we're going to have
that's
on
what
there.
I'm thinking. And not only that, but what patch day, you know, is it going to be a 10 gig patch that you have to download on your PS4? You know, how long is that going to take?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's going to be nasty. Like, God, man, even we have Verizon Fios internet, which is, I mean, it's super, super, super fast. And even with, you know, we're getting like 20 megabyte a second download and upload speed, up to 35 sometimes. And even with that, it's taken forever. You know, whenever you have to download a patch on the PlayStation, it takes God forever. And you know, what if you, you know, just if you have internet that's just normal speed, that's quick for anything else, I mean, it could take, oh man, it could take 24 hours to download a patch.
Yeah. And you can't do anything else while it's doing it. You know,
anything. I mean, that's just.
You know what? Actually, that's not true anymore. The PlayStation 4 has been letting us download stuff in the background. So,
but it's only when it's not downloading core game files, because I've had it a couple of times. It's told me I've went to go fold down and let it download in the background, and it says that I can't do that because it's downloading core game files. And it seems like when they're doing, you know, patches, and especially on the, you know, the first day, that's obviously going to be the core game files that you're patching. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on. That was all there really was to talk about. Any last comments from either of you two on that? Pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay. Tamriel Foundry hosted a Q&A with Paul Sage, who's the creative director for ZeniMax Online Studios, about PvE. There was a lot of questions that he answered. I mean, this went on for a couple hours, and he took the time to answer a ton of questions. There's a lot of good ones. We had to pick only a few to talk about, and see if we can even get through all of these tonight. And there's more. You can go on to Tamriel Foundry in the forums, and Gtox, GTOX on Tamriel Foundry, he's posted up a list of all the questions, which, believe me, takes a very long time, because I individually typed out all the questions the other night, and it took me like 3 hours to find them all and type them. So props to him for that. And you can find that thread on Tamriel Foundry forums if you want to read the rest of the questions. But we're going to go on to the first one, and then Nick, you can read this question first. And is the so-called Holy Trinity, tank, heals, and DPS, always needed to complete released dark anchors and or dungeons?
Okay. It says, nope, not always needed. The harder content may indeed need it, but the dark anchors are not that hard. Dungeons, sometimes you're going to need to have the archetypes. So it's basically just like any other MMO. Sometimes you're going to need a tank, a healer, and DPS. Sometimes you're not. You know, it's going to be one of those things that once we get to playing the game and we can define the different types of content just by their name. Like, for instance, you know, right now we don't know how difficult a dark anchor is compared to an adventure zone compared to anything else. But once we start playing, I think it's going to be a lot like WoW. You know that a world boss, you know, a small world boss, for instance, we all know you don't necessarily need to have the Holy Trinity present, whereas a raid boss, you generally do. So it's probably going to be the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I could see it even being something like skill level plus difficulty of the content. You know, if you're a lot better players, maybe a lot better geared, or however that kind of works, you don't really need a tank. Maybe you can do some kind of like bizarre maneuvers like kiting or something like that. So
well, I kind of feel what I like about this question here is that it's just a lot of people have been asking, like, are we going to need healers? Are we going to need tanks? Like, what is my job going to be moot? And I don't feel like Dark Anchors are obviously like Rift type world events. You're not really going to always need them if you're geared or, you know, above level, or if you have enough good players. But I think it's good to hear, they say for dungeons, sometimes you're going to need them. That means for raids, you definitely do. So we still have a purpose. We do still have a purpose, and I like that.
Yeah.
So, because there's been a lot of worry about that. Like, I personally like that the game is expanded so much and that you can do a lot of things. But, you know, as much as all these games, they want to talk about moving away from the Holy Trinity, everyone's really attached to it, and they're attached to their roles.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get away from. I really don't think it's that terribly broken. I think what might be broken is things like in WoW, like button bloat, having like a ridiculous number of abilities, and abilities that are kind of like really boring, you know, that you just have to do because they increase your DPS by 2% or whatever. I'd like to get away from that rather than some of the archetypes. Archetypes aren't bad, you know, just not necessarily bad. So.
Definitely. All right, so the next question, you can read this one for us, Anu, is in a dungeon, can you resurrect a fallen ally while engaged in combat?
Oh, yeah, this is the one I was actually really interested in. Yes, you absolutely can. If you have a filled soul gem of the appropriate level, you can run over and resurrect them. This takes time, though, and it's a strategic element of combat. Not only does it take... Okay, and that's the end of the answer, but my kind of look on it is not only does it take time during combat, but it also takes time, preparation time, prior to going into something sketchy. You know, don't be dumb. Come with like the right kind of soul gem, or you're a noob. You know, like that's kind of what it's saying. Which I like, but I also don't want it to get to the point where it wasn't like in vanilla WoW, where mages have to show up and cook mana gems, you know, or mana cookies for 2 hours before raid. So I'd like to see a good balance on that. And I wonder, like, say you're max level or you're 50 plus or something, you know what I mean? What kind of critters do you have to kill to get a soul gem filled to the appropriate level?
Yeah.
Is that a rare kind of critter? Can you find these randomly? Are they going to be spawn camped? Like, what are we looking at in that? So,
and there's got to be some kind of, I mean, I don't think it should be able to be done unlimitedly while in combat. I do believe there should be some sort of a limit on it. Otherwise, you could realistically just keep going and never wipe.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of challenge out of it.
Something. I mean, there's going to be some kind of control in there. Something is going to control that. I mean, because they know. I think ZeniMax at least would realize that, you know, players can take advantage of that if they don't have some kind of a control system in there for that.
I do want to say something to Skeeter, though. I don't think that they would sell filled soul gems in vendors. That's never been something that you've really gotten in any Elder Scrolls game. You can buy the empty ones, but if you want to fill it with a soul, like, you have to go do that.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see.
You know, actually, I'll text you later, Nancy. Don't worry. Kate Castle was asking.
Sounds kind of sexual. I'm
very
not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous right now.
he needs some encouragement. Kate Castle is wondering if you can play this game like single player, and you can. Kate, there's a lot of content here with single player, but they've also said there's a lot of content that can only be done in a group, and they really do want to encourage group content. And as kind of a call for, I don't really believe this is Skyrim with your friends. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. It's Elder Scrolls with your friends, just lots and lots of them, and some strangers too. But there's still going to be a lot of things you can do separately. Just everything won't be open to you, but the amount of content is so massive that it's not like you're missing out on. You're going to feel like you don't have a good experience because you can't do the group stuff if you choose not to play with them. So I just wanted to bring that up. So the next question, I'm going to read this. How is the Alliance, this one personally is really interesting for me. How is the Alliance change in the 50+ parts of the game going to work? And he answered, well, I can't really go into specifics without spoilers to the story. Let's just say a certain entity wants you to see things from a different perspective, and you will be able to travel to the new Alliance. Now, before we talk about this one, I'm actually going to read the next question as well.
I just spilled my drink all over me. Did you guys see that?
No.
It's pooling in my belly button.
Oh, God. Actually, Nick can read this question, but this is, well, Anu cleans himself up over there. This is actually relevant to this. So he said, will the 50+ and 50++ content change my Alliance setting that I've chosen at the start of the game to another one? And if it does, can I change back to my original Alliance when I'm done with 50++ content? Which basically they're saying, when you do this, are you actually changing alliances? And why don't you tell him his answer, Nick?
It says, only while you are in that alliance, but not for PvP campaigns. For those, you will always be considered part of your original alliance. So, essentially, what I'm thinking the mechanic is going to be is based on the original answer that the certain entity wants you to see things from a different perspective. I think it's going to be something similar to, you know, maybe it'd be just some, you know, one of the Daedra or Daedra. I'm thinking it's probably going to be either like this, one of your friendly NPCs, or maybe Molag Bal, I'm not sure, but I think they're going to like do like a, people who've played WoW will be very familiar with this concept, the disguise thing. Like, you're going to be able to wear a, you know, an Ebonheart disguise, and that means that you can go over there and play all of their content, and then as soon as you take that disguise off, you know, you're instantly ported back out of that zone or considered your old alliance, because that's just kind of the vibe I get from wanting you to see things from a different perspective.
Well, if I'm correct me if I'm
still
go
your
ahead,
alliance, but you're just playing. You're acting as another, you know, part of another alliance, and that goes to support him saying that in PvP campaigns you'll always be considered a part of your original alliance. Like, that will be in your just that your character is this alliance, but he or she is acting as the other alliance for a period of time or for a task, whatever.
Okay, well, actually, real quick, I know you're saying that, Annie, but I just wanted to put in real quick. I know Nick, you just plowed right through and just didn't even stop. But I kind of feel like, actually, I took completely different than you did here. It says, only while you were in that alliance. And he said, does the alliance setting I've chosen at the start of the game change? Does my alliance change? And it says only while you're in that alliance. And I kind of feel like that way they don't have to rewrite the quest or anything, that you really did decide to go be part of another alliance. And what's kind of saying, if you go to each of the zones, because they haven't said that once you finish the 50 plus plus and the 50 plus that you can't go back to the zones and run around. I think that would be foolish, because you wouldn't be able to go across Tamriel. So I kind of feel what they're saying here is, as far as like story goes and role playing goes, you can kind of choose like, oh, my character right now, it doesn't go over to PvP, but my character right now has decided that they want to be part of this alliance instead, just because it says it does change your alliance in PvE.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of how I understood it, just from reading some of the previous releases on this topic, is that you hit level 50 in your chosen faction, and then you go to the other one and you start doing the quest line there, and that it phases you to where you only see other players who are from your faction that are in this new faction doing that quest line. So you don't actually see, like, so it just sort of phases you in a sense, just so you can get the story. Is that, correct me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys know better.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what it is. And then it does get more difficult. So
Yeah.
I think that's, I want to know more about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to too, because I'm a big completionist for story and stuff like that.
That triples the amount of game time you can get on a single character as well.
Yeah, just single playthrough. You know, for the person in the chat who was wondering if you could play it single player. You know, that's a lot of stuff that you can do. It gets consecutively harder. It's not going to become like monotonous or dull.
And then that's the beauty of an MMO, kind of, is, people who are used to, especially, particularly the Elder Scrolls franchise of RPGs, like, you play through the game, and then if they have any add-on, stuff like the I guess they're called expansions for that, right?
What do you mean, like the DLCs?
Yeah, the DLC, I guess, for it.
Okay.
You maybe get a couple of story extensions with that, but with with an MMO, every couple of months they are giving you the equivalent of an entire, like a thing of DLC. Like it adds a whole bunch of story, and it's like it's not like you finished all of the questing and now there's never going to be any more single player content, and if you don't like playing with groups, you can just unsubscribe because you never get anything else. It's like every few months they add in more questing content and that translates into more single player content.
They want new content 4 to 6 weeks. So
and 4 to 6. That's a pretty aggressive patching cycle.
I'm wondering
keep that
how
up.
large the patches are gonna be, because that's. I mean, that seems, like you just said, it seems very aggressive as far as development time to me. Like, that means that the first few they might have developed right, already, where they can just release them on certain intervals, but after a certain period of time, that means that they are only able to get pieces of content from beginning to release in development time. They only have 6 weeks to do that, and God, to me, you talk about it in the grand scheme of an MMO, they may not get anything done in 6 weeks of development time. That's a very short period of time.
Yeah. Well, ideally, before launch, before they really launch it, they have maybe the first couple patch cycles already ready. You know what I mean? So they've got like a little bit of an accordion, so they can just, right when they launch, they already have two, maybe, for example, 2 patches ready, and then they start working on patch 3. So hopefully, if they do it that way, and they manage resources well and the time well, hopefully they could keep up that kind of aggressive patching. But this is kind of like a trend nowadays, I think, and I really think the game like Star Citizen, I don't know if you guys know much about Star Citizen, but they're looking to do like a 2-week patch cycle, like a mini patch cycle. So this definitely seems to be some kind of new trend, instead of 1 or 2 patches a year and then a new expansion, which they're big, like for WoW, those are huge patches and huge expansions, but you can burn through that content a lot faster. So we'll have to just see how the patch cycle works.
Yeah, and they did say DLC size content. That's pretty big from what I think of Elder Scrolls DLC. That's a lot of content, and it makes me wonder what the bigger patches that they're going to be releasing are even going to be size wise.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so this next question is, it's not so much of a discussion one, it's just kind of another one, kind of like with the tank and healer, a confirmation of something that's nice to hear, and one we kind of knew was coming, but for people who want to hear this, will player quests impact the environment in any way? And Nick, what did they say?
Okay. They said, yes, they definitely will. We've talked about layering or phasing, and you will see different NPCs, FX, etc., depending on how you do quests. So it seems like they're even saying that the the different way you do quests, or there can even be different outcomes of what your particular game will look like, different from anyone else's, just based on what quests you do and decisions you make within those.
And that quests would be very Elder Scrolls of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's good to hear about that, is that your decisions are going to impact the world. That's what they've said here, that what you do, your decisions in the quest, and also just completing quests, things will change. It's not just static, because multiple people are in the world, so you don't want to change their world, but because of the layering, you're not going to change their world, and you still get that Elder Scrolls experience. Anything on that, Anu?
I like it. I wouldn't say it is an MMO at the end of the day. Every player can't have the power, you know what I mean, to completely change like some kind of geographic location or something. So I would say they're saying layering and phasing, you know, things like that. Like I get that, like giving impact on the environment in that way, but I wouldn't expect it to go so far as like Levolution in Battlefield 4, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like I wouldn't expect something like that in MMO. That's just not feasible with that many players. Otherwise we'd be in 2 weeks after launch, we'd be walking around like a wasteland, just riddled with craters and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, people messing with everything. So
definitely. All right, so, and the last question we'll go over real quick is, will it be some part of PvE this question's really confusing, guys, like how they worded it. I think you'll kind of get what they meant to say, but will it be some part of PvE a real competition, expected the best skills, a lot of effort for the development, or the goal is to let a large group of friends hang out with each other, having fun, killing casual mode bosses like in single games? So will it be a real MMO type of PvE, and how much, if that's so? And I think what they were trying to say here is there going to be hard PvE like you would expect in a competitive MMO, and is there also going to be casual, or is it leaning completely one way or the other? And Annie, you can read the answer there.
Okay, they said, I think we have a range of difficulty in what we do, so it will likely appeal to both of the situations you've outlined here. Some of the content is going to be geared to a more casual playstyle, and some will be downright hard. And I think that's par for the course for an MMO. You know, I don't think you can have it'll be all casual playstyle and no like goal in your mind. You know what I mean? In WoW, you want to be a heroic raider. You want to get ahead of the curve and cutting edge achievements, things like that. You don't have that kind of drive or something in an MMO. Why play it? You know. So, but I think that's kind of par for the course. I wouldn't have expected anything other than that answer.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, it's nice they say downright hard, and Nick Conkle has been on video in an interview saying that for Adventure Zones, which are going to be our raids, that he has played previously he's done hardcore WoW raiding, which he very much enjoyed, and that he had, when he said this, recently been in an adventure zone, and he was asked directly if he thinks that it would, like what he was playing the other day, if it would be something that would appeal to a hardcore raider, and he said that he thinks that that it will, and that's coming from him who has done that. So I think that that's something to look forward to for us.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. You know, I don't claim to be the most hardcore or the most badass raider in the world, you know, but I do like that drive, and I do want to get more difficult achievements and stuff like that.
Yep. All right. Anything on this section? That's the last question we're going to cover for the Q&A. Anything you guys want to put in the last minute there?
I'm just excited. That's about it.
Me too.
It's basically, I mean, the only thing I can put in on top of what we've done is go check the rest of this Q&A out, because there is a lot more that they cover. We obviously can't go through all of these questions because we do have some sort of a time constraint on this show. So, but that, I mean, there is just we could go on for hours going through this list of question and answers. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. This next part, I'm just going to skim through this. I mean, it's something that we kind of thought we might not be able to get to really, and we'll go into depth about it next week. But basically, ESO has released a list of high-paid actors and actresses for their voice cast. Some recognizable ones, definitely.
Which is exciting.
It's exciting, and I've definitely got some stuff about that next week that I'd like to talk to, so I think I'll talk about. I'd like to go into it, but for now, I'm just going to tell you the names, the people. They've got John Cleese, Bill Nighy, Kate Beckinsale. I'm sure all the guys will like that very much. She's actually playing Queen Ayren, who's already pretty popular with the...
She's my favorite character
already. The men, so... Alfred Molina, Linda Carter, Michael Gambon, Dumbledore, woohoo! Yeah. Malcolm McDowell, Peter Stormare, Jim Ward, Jennifer Hale, and Kevin Michael Richardson. So,
okay, I do have to ask, who's Malcolm McDowell? Because I want to look up this guy's voice. Because Molag Ball is like the
He's the dude with the eyebrows. That's how... The
dude with the eyebrows.
That's how I think of him.
All right, Google image search. Here we go. Sorry, don't mind me.
Okay, so those are next week we're going to talk about that, because I do think that it's a big deal. It's pretty cool. I don't know really, besides Dumbledore or Malcolm McDowell, if we're really going to even recognize the voice of any of these people in game if we didn't know it was them. And it probably costs a lot of money to hire them to do this. But we'll talk about that next week because we're running short on time. So we're actually going to jump right into the lore section tonight. So real quick, without going too much detail, do you guys have anything to say on that? What we just talked about lightly.
I just realized what guy that is. Interesting. I'm pretty excited to hear how that works in the game environment. So that'd be cool.
How he is as Molag Bal.
Yeah, isn't Molag Bal like the big badass, right?
Yeah, he's the Daedric Prince.
The big bad of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that just to lightly touch on this topic, I actually really think that it's good that they're doing an A-list voice cast. I personally I don't like I don't get as much enjoyment out of games when the questing experience is very generic. And I feel like having a very diverse, very, very well-known A-list voice acting cast for their NPCs, I think that was a good choice on their part, mainly because, someone like me who I don't even really play single-player RPGs very often, that's important to someone like me. I think it's really even twice as important to someone who really gets a good time out of playing single-player RPGs, especially Elder Scrolls fans who are used to, top-of-the-line games. And I think that was a decision on their part that they did right. And it's like, even for people that don't particularly care too much about it, it's not going to diminish the game at all for them to have it. So all they did was make some of their audience happy, and some of their audience, won't be more happy or sad based on this. But yeah, I just think that because of the fact that this is an Elder Scrolls title, that was actually kind of an important thing for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Yep. And definitely go into that because it's a big deal. It's an expensive deal. It could really help, and we'll see.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read through. I wrote this. It took me a while to write it up. A lot longer than it's going to take me to read it. And it's just a little bit. There's a lot more to these guys that we're going to hear about than just this. But we're going to learn about the Falmer, who are also known as the Snow Elves. You're more likely going to know them as Falmer, but here is a little bit about their history. It says, When you hear mention of the Falmer, the first thing that may come to your mind are the twisted, blind creatures who can be found skulking through the dark in long-abandoned Dwemer ruins. To most of Tamriel, this is the image of the Falmer. It has been forgotten by many that once the Falmer, that are now more monster than mare, were once a proud race of elves that dwelt in the frigid lands of Skyrim. Also known as snow elves or ice elves, the Falmer were a wealthy, powerful race of mare with an unusually great aptitude for magic. In their peak, their civilization rivaled even that of the Altmer in the Somerset Isles. Their appearance was like that of a high elf, but they were of pale white complexions and hair, much like their snowy homeland. They were at the peak of their power in the Merithic era. However, towards the end of one era and the dawning of the next, the First Era, the Snow Elves were displaced from their seat of power by the early Nords who were fleeing Atmora to the shores of Skyrim. History tells us for a time that the Snow Elves and Nords coexisted in Skyrim relatively peacefully. Peace, however, is a rare thing that doesn't often last. One night, the Snow Elves attacked the human capital of the Nords, Sarthal, and burned it to the ground. The only known survivors were the Atmoran-born ruler Ysgramor, as well as his two sons, Yngrel and Ylgar. Together they retreated to Atmora, later returning to Skyrim thirsty for vengeance. Ysgramor and his 500 companions slaughtered all elves they came across, clearing the land for settlers from Atmora to start their lives safely. It is said that the Nords killed the elves by the thousands. Eventually, the only organized groups of resistant snow elves left on the island of Solstheim, having been all but wiped out on the mainland of Skyrim. There, Ysgramor and his 500 hunted down the remaining snow elves, and after a long and gruesome battle, defeated the elven prince. The long, prosperous reign of the snow elves came to an end. Although their forces had been defeated, snow elves remained in Skyrim in smaller numbers for a long time, hiding away from the Nords and being slowly pushed back wherever they were discovered. By the time of the rule of the High King Harald, it was believed all the snow elves had been pushed out of the borders of Skyrim. Some remained secretly hidden, however. In truth, many of the snow elves still existed. They had long maintained an uneasy alliance with their neighbors, the Dwemer, who inhabited vast underground cities. Many snow elf legends praised the honor and glory of the Dwemer. The Dwemer heard their pleas and offered them a haven, but little did the elves know they had been tricked. The Dwemer forced their wards into servitude and forced them to eat a toxic fungus that rendered them blind. Eventually, the snow elves, now servants of the Dwemer, became slaves. Ancient torture devices have been found deep within Dwemer ruins, and it is thought they were used to keep the snow elves in line. Whether it was the betrayal and abuse of the Dwemer in whom they had placed their trust and lives, or some other tragedy, eventually the once great snow elves became the creatures of the dark we know today, the Falmer. They lived in the ruins long after the Dwemer disappeared, becoming hateful and aggressive. There were more than 100 snow elves that survived on the surface in the isolated chantry of Ariel. They pitied their brethren who had suffered so much, but the changed Falmer cared not and attacked the snow elves like any other race living above ground. Over time, the snow elves were all but forgotten, and became the things of myths and legends. In the recent years of the Fourth Era, however, the Falmer have begun to stir underground, and many now know of their existence. There is fear that the Falmer plan to invade the surface world soon, which is why they have become active again. As for the snow elves that escaped the fate of the Falmer, there are whispers that hidden away in Skyrim, the chantry of Ariel still stands, and that perhaps there could be some, if only a couple, who persevered through the persecution of the Nords and hate of the changed Falmer. Perhaps a worthy adventurer may someday be led to find them. And that's that. So, yeah.
Now, if I'm correct, are the Falmer are like the cave dwelling people that you kind of find at the bottom of the Dwemer, however you say it, ruins, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, those things are creepy.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
Like they're like,
Yeah.
you just kind of like a whoo when you see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Falmer are they're those blind guys that attack you when pretty much the only things you're going to find besides the machines down in the Dwemer ruins.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all those little weird tents and all that. So, and if you play Dawn Guard, you actually get to meet an actual snow elf or two, a couple,
Okay.
as part of the storyline. So,
Yeah. Cool.
all right. That was actually a suggestion from my brother, Jesse, that we talk about the snow elves tonight. So
Oh, cool.
we have our first email, yay!
Yeah.
Skooma for him.
Yeah.
He gets free skooma this week. All right. The email is from Aaron in the UK. And he also, in his email, also gave him some great advice for the show, and we're working to make those things happen. I have a new mic this week. I don't know if anyone can actually tell, and hopefully we get some more of those. So thank you for that. And then what he said was, "Hi there, I've just started listening to your podcast. Great first 2 episodes. I like to go jogging when listening to podcasts, so this podcast gives me another reason. On to ESO, I have only positive feelings coming from the game now. I think they've struck a fine line between Elder Scrolls and MMO. As an MMOer primarily, I couldn't really be happy with PvP, and the only thing that concerns me at the moment are adventure zones. I'd really like to see ESO move away from the WoW style of raiding, 10 people hacking at a 100-foot tall monster's foot for 10 minutes. We know we can have around 200 players on the screen at once, so having some large-scale PvE battles would be awesome in adventure zones." And they said, "I have a few questions for you guys regarding to future content updates. Maria Alprando stated there would be a justice system implemented along with the Thieves Guild. What do you guys think the best way for this to work would be? We've talked quite a bit on the Bethesda ESO forums about this. Many people are suggesting a kind of bounty system for players in PvP, but since there's no open world PvP, a bounty system might not work outside Cyrodiil. And then there's jail sentences. I'd love to see that, so if you got caught committing crimes, you'd get sent to prison. What do you guys think about that? Best of luck with the podcast. I hope to hear many more, and I'm looking forward to episode 3. Aaron, who wants to take this one first?
Oh man, I'm just gonna take one little piece, and then maybe you guys will take a different piece. So let me look here. There was one that I was interested in. The huge large scale PvE battles in adventure zones would be awesome. Now that's something I've thought about. I don't know how they would do the balancing between what's possible, how many players are possible on screen at once on a console, and also balance that equally with what's possible on the PC platforms. And I think it would kind of be necessary to balance that. Otherwise, if you could do 100 on PC, why would you play on PS4 if you could only do 15 or something, So they would have to balance it somehow. But I do like that idea. I would really like to see PvE content where you have a guild, right? Like in WoW, you could have a guild with a couple hundred players, but your raid team's 10 or 25. What are all the other players doing? How can we get them all involved too? They can't all obviously be on the raid team. So large-scale PvE battles would be cool. At the same time, I could see that causing a significant decline in the challenge level of the content. The more players that you expect to join in on something, the less difficult it is. And that's kind of what we get with world bosses nowadays in WoW, is they're just face roll, you go do it, blah, 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 you hit your loot pinata, and you leave, So, but I do like that idea. And I'd be interested to see what kind of ideas ZeniMax could come up with for that.
Definitely. I think that it would be nice to see something that you could do besides PvP, something you could do for PvE as a guild, like truly as a guild, not just as a team, something everyone could be involved in. So that'd be really neat to see something like that, definitely. What about you, Nick?
Okay, so what are we doing? Just taking different parts of this, or are we just... what are we doing?
Do you have any thoughts on the email?
Okay, well, let's see. There's some questions that they had in here for us. I like the the question about the PvP bounty system. I was just when we got the email, that really inspired some thought for me, so I guess I'll answer part of it at least. I also, it says, they'd be really interested to see them implement a jail sentence system where if you got committing crimes, you'd be sent to prison. I think that something like that would be really awesome. I know that, in the single-player games, you get caught, stealing a chicken, and the whole entire town comes after you with flaming torches and, wants to have your head. But I've always kind of liked that, how I think that it would be really cool if if you got caught, breaking any of the, whatever, the laws, the town ordinances, you would have to, it could either do some kind of a system where you have to like work off a debt for doing that, like community service kind of a thing, or you have to, you get ported into some kind of an instance, or I think that would be a really cool system that they could that they would input in the game. Like it would just be a really different a really different bounty system than we've seen in MMO at least up to this point. I think that would be a really really cool system. And as far as the adventure zones and everything, like I agree, I'd actually like to see them at least not necessarily to move totally away from the WoW style of raiding, but at least expand on it maybe. It just puts some kind of a spin on it. Like, I already like that they're specifically saying, these aren't raid zones, they're not raid instances, they're adventure zones. I like that whole, just the whole concept that they're already trying to distinguish themselves from other MMOs, and I hope that they keep that up in every aspect of the PvE, that they, that it's at least partially familiar, obviously, because it is an MMO, so you can only go so far with making it different, but I would like to see them continue to very obviously distinguish themselves from other games. I think that they could use that in all of their systems, obviously. So.
Yeah. All right. I think I want to tackle actually the prison sentence thing on here, because that's the part that stuck out to me. In Skyrim, if you committed a crime, you could choose to go to jail, or you could fight or reload your save like I usually do. But but if you did go to jail, there are some things that wouldn't work, like skills depreciating over time. But what I do see is in WoW, if you leave a battleground early, you can get that debuff that's like 15 minutes, or it goes up depending on what the circumstances were, how often you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And basically, if you're a PvPer and that's all you really had and wanted to do at the time, you can't do anything. I would like to see, I think there's a lot of potential for a system where you do go to jail, and you can kind of pull a get out of jail early for either a fee of gold or some other form of consequences for leaving jail early, or wait it out in the prison cell like the same idea as the debuff.
What if... This is just maybe like a silly idea, but would it be kind of cool if, say, I did something stupid with my character and I got caught, right? And I got on the voice comms to you guys and said, hey, I'm going to be stuck in this thing and lose this super important skill. Come break me out. Like, wouldn't that be kind of cool? And you guys have to get a group together and come kill all the guards, and we all get bounties for it, but we also get me out of jail. Like, that would be kind of interesting. I don't...
really cool guild activity. Like, I think that would be really fun for guilds to at least have the option to do that. Maybe not make it any kind of a, like, they couldn't have a lot of this stuff be required, so to speak, because it's like, what if you're not in a guild? What if none of your friends are online at the time? Whatever the case may be.
If you want to play solo, like Cake.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But at least have it, that at least have it available. I think that they've really, like I said, they're really trying to distinguish themselves as a different kind of MMO, an MMO that is first and foremost the next title in a line of single player RPGs. Like, I think that it's really, I think that's going to help them a lot with, the people are kind of burnt out on classic MMOs right now. It's, World of Warcraft has been the MMO for, it's been like 10 years now. People they want something new, and I think that if Bethesda and ZeniMax continue to translate into the actual game the way they've been talking about it, like trying to be different specifically, I think that is really, it could spell a very major success for them, and I hope that they continue to go down the path that they are right now.
Yeah, this chat's funny here.
Yeah, it is.
Skeeter makes a good point, and fun until we all end up in jail, and I can see that the whole guild gets thrown in jail because he failed to break them out.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the email, and those are some really good points. I really am looking forward to the justice system. They have said they've told us they will be putting the justice system in the game, and we are going to see Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood after launch. They're working on it now. They've promised it. I have faith in ZeniMax and Bethesda that we're going to get that. So I do think that the justice system and the crime system is going to go right along with that content, at least the Thieves Guild content, and I can see a lot of fun with those quests as well involved. So thank you, Aaron, for your email, and if anyone else does want to send us an email, skoomajunkies@gmail.com. And so, any last thoughts on that, guys?
No, I just definitely appreciate the email, and I like that you asked some questions that you're interested in. So keep that stuff coming, guys.
Some good questions.
More emails. People send us emails. We need emails to read on the show.
You're all serious about it, like.
More emails. Send them now.
Okay, so the last segment of our show is the Fishy Stick Award of the Week. For those who don't know, the Fishy Stick is an award we give out every week. It's a phenomenon that started up on the official Bethesda forums a long time ago, back in the days before Morrowind, even during Morrowind. And it was started by a user named Captain Eldrad. Basically, he gave out Fishy Sticks as awards to members, first for doing awesome stuff, and later as like, oh, welcome to the forums, here's a Fishy Stick. And you can find out more about that at the unofficial Elder Scrolls page. It's actually a pretty cool little piece of game history that has Easter eggs in Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. So how this works is basically every week we find one exceptional creation. It could be mods, art, cosplay, anything, even like music. We find something from the community and we give them a Fishy Stick for it, our Fishy Stick Award of the Week. We want to showcase the community and really make them a part of this show. So this week we have a new Fishy Stick for the 29th, and it goes to Roberto, I'm not sure you say his name. He's on DeviantArt, and he has a digital drawing he's made of a fire Atronach, and it's his own personal concept for it, and it's really pretty great. Cool. Yeah. So Nick will pull that up on the stream for us. Be up now. All right. So those in the stream can see, and for those who are not, you can go to Roberto Gomez Art, and that's Roberto Roberto Gomez Gomes and art.deviantart.com. And you can see his page, and he's got other gaming artwork up there as well. So, our Fish Stick Award of the Week goes to Roberto for that. Like to see more stuff. And if you guys have anything that you've made or you want to recommend to us, let us know. Send us an email, and we might put it up on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is the end of our show tonight. It's been a really long episode. Almost 2 hours now, and there's a lot of stuff, and we didn't even scratch the surface of what's come out this week, so we have a lot to talk about next week too. I kind of feel like it's going to be pretty slow next week since they overloaded us with all this information this week. And if not, Lord help us, we're going to start giving you 3-hour shows every week.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to take intermissions or something.
Definitely. So our contact, if you want to get in contact with us or like any of our pages, you can go to skoomajunkies.com, and that's our website, and you can find links to all of our pages there. And then for Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, it's Facebook, Twitter, and twitch.tv/skoomajunkies, all one word. If you're watching us on Twitch right now, you're actually on the page. We also have a Google Plus and a YouTube page. And I know last week I said the video would actually go up to YouTube, but I didn't get actually a saved copy of the video last week, so I couldn't keep that promise. But we do have a saved copy of this week's video that will be on YouTube, I swear. So, go to your YouTube page and watch this if you'd like to look at us and you weren't here. And if you want to see the links put up and the pictures and everything like that, it's pretty cool, I think. It's not edited or anything, but... and you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Podkicker, which is an app on the Android. And also on our website if you want to listen to us at the show. If you leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes, we'll mention your name here next week. Get enough ratings and they'll actually start showing up on iTunes. That'd be pretty cool. So, yeah, So, closing thoughts, guys. What do you guys think? Either one of you.
Go ahead, Anu.
Okay. I kind of agree with Skeeter. Like we're getting towards crunch time, I think. So I'm not sure if we are going to have any too many slow weeks. There might be one or two, but I think we're going to be getting. There's a lot of info that we still don't know anything about, or a lot of aspects of the game that we still don't know anything about. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I think it's just going to be a big rush until launch. Pretty much, like there might be one or two slow weeks, but I think it's going to be a lot of info really fast. So that's really exciting. Learning new things every day, every other day. It's pretty cool.
Yep. What about you?
Alrighty, well, oh man, this has just been such a crazy amount of content we've covered in this episode. I don't even know how to wrap it all up in a few words. Hold on a second. I'm hearing some like echo for some reason in my audio.
Yay for editing.
Anyway, well, just everybody who was with us tonight, thank you for being with us, and be sure to come back next week and send us emails and download the show and watch the YouTube video. And oh man, I don't know. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's all I got.
Yep.
All right, I can think of one more. I'm actually going to. I got to remake my Twitter account, my personal Twitter account. But I'm going to be remaking that, and I'll put up on the website. And we have a page that we've been working on, which has got just a little blurb about us. And I'm still waiting on those from these guys here. But I'm going to put up mine at least, and put a link to my personal Twitter when I get it working up under there. And so you can follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know on the site where you can follow that at. And if they make one, you guys can follow them too. That way we can talk a lot more during the day about stuff that comes out, and just more stuff besides just ESO. If it's gaming stuff, whatever, you know what I mean? So that will be coming soon. And as far as the episode tonight, I think I said this last week that that was the most fun episode we'd had. Well, this was the most fun episode. We had a lot more stuff.
Yeah, they get more and more fun every time.
They really do. And I think when the game comes out, that's just going to go through the roof. Like, it's going to be so fun. Yeah. And we're going to have the guild. And, maybe we'll have people on the show from the guild and stuff like that. And we can do guild events. I've already got some fun stuff planned. Like a little lottery. Lots of stuff. And I'm just really looking forward to the game. And every week they release more information like this. And I get more and more excited for it. And I really appreciate ZeniMax for it. And Bethesda for it. They're really working hard to get our questions out, and I'm sure that at this point it must be really crazy over there in the offices. Yeah. They're scrambling,
getting ready for a huge launch, man. I mean, this is just I mean, I'm so ready for this game to come out because it's just got so much hype behind it. Not only being the next game in this line of Elder Scrolls games, but this potentially revolutionary MMO. I'm ready to see if it's going to live up to the hype, and I really, really hope that it's going to, because I am just so excited for it.
Yep.
All right, so thank you guys for listening. This was our 3rd episode, and we'll be back next week at 7 or 7:15 Pacific Standard Time. The stream went really well tonight, I feel like, so that should keep going every week, and we're definitely getting things worked out. I feel like tonight was a huge improvement, and it will continue to be. And I'm just really happy we've gotten a really good feedback from you guys. We've gotten a positive reaction, and I can't wait to see you guys all next week. And thank you to the Guildies for showing up in chat. It's always fun having you there. So
yeah.
All right. So bye. Nick, take us off the air now. It's your job.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
We're gonna all. Absolutely.
I know.
Pausing my recording. I don't know how to take us off the air. How do I do it?
Okay.